That's.
Call the BATA Board of Directors meeting to order. It's 31st day of October 2020.
Is that Andy?
Wayne, that was a good idea, but I failed.
That's a great idea.
Pizza.
Yeah,
Yeah.
next year.
Pizza.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Tracy, roll call if you would, please.
Sure. John Savavilla,
Here.
Wayne Schmidt,
Here.
Glenn Allgaier,
Here.
Joe Underwood,
Here.
Pat Secret, Brad Jewett,
Here.
and Richard Cochran.
Here. First public comment. Tracy, if you would, please.
Any interested party or person may address the board on any matter of BATA concern during the public comment. Comments will be limited to 5 minutes and a 1-minute warning will be given when needed. Any public comment that becomes disruptive, unduly repetitive, or impedes the orderly progress of the meeting may be terminated by the proceeding officer. Once you've completed your public comment, the board may ask for any clarifying questions. If needed, you'll be assigned a member of BATA staff to follow up directly on any open concerns.
I'm Justin Reed. I just want to mention that the bail line is a bit confusing, because ground construction is now open again. And for some reason, the bail line is acting like an east and a west bail line. Because if I'm going from the Commons and I'm going to Hall Street, instead of it turning up there to go to Hall Street, it has to make a loop around and we come back this way. So the app itself is kind of confusing too, because it's an inbound and outbound only. And it doesn't show that kind of, that change that is still there. It's where it was east and west, and now it's not east and west, the app says inbound and outbound. So the bail line is still confusing. Thank you.
Thanks, Justin.
Thanks, Justin. Any other? If not, can I get an approval of the agenda for this meeting?
Motion to approve. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consent calendar. Purpose of the consent calendar is to expedite business by grouping non-controversial items together to be dealt with in one board motion without discussion. Any member of the board, staff, or the public may ask that any item on the consent calendar be removed. Place elsewhere on the agenda for full discussion. Such requests will be automatically respected. An item is now removed from the consent calendar to action noted on the agenda. It is approved by a single board action adopting the consent calendar. Are there any items that anyone wishes to? If not, can I get a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented?
So moved.
I second.
Support.
I have some support.
Can I just point out a couple things before you take the vote on it? I just want to make sure everybody has taken a look at the report agenda, because there's some really positive information in there in the ridership report that reflects a 13% increase year over year, which is excellent. And then also our turnover report, which has averaged 2.5% lower than industry standards and region. So kudos to Chris and her team and everyone on the team working hard on both of those fronts. So
What is the industry average?
Chris, do you know what that is?
I think it was around 8 point something, but I don't know the point.
Points.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking like 6 something, but even so, that's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Decent.
Good.
in the area, I don't know the current area one, but I'm talking anecdotally to our various different TARA members that some are having some really tough times, and a couple of, our recent survey were up to even 50%. Really struggling, we're very pleased with keeping it around 2. We have a metric we watch every month, it was around 5, a target of 5, but we've been 2 to 3%.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, have a motion and a second, all in favor,
Aye.
opposed, motion carries. So on to Kelly.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Happy Halloween. Wearing my annual wearing of my orange about once a year, so. Following up on more good news, I guess I'll give a quick update on the HQ facility and the overall budget of that. We're getting close to the closeout of that, budget. Waiting on probably, some final invoices to come in November, but it's looking like it will close out with about $1.25 million in savings from the budget. And, that's in addition to the $1 million of added scope, so depending on how you want to look at it, I guess if they're really paying, more than $2 million under budget. So really pleased with that. We are on track for closing on Diamond on November 20th. Have not heard anything other than on track, so I'm assuming we're continuing to march forward there. The listing agreement expires ironically on November 19th. So that poses a little bit of a challenge if it does. So, the agents, yeah, I believe it will close, but, the agents would like us to extend the listing agreement in the event that for some reason that it doesn't. And so I'd like direction from the board on how long you want that extension to be. We could do 30 days, 6 months, anywhere in between.
Does it cost us anything to extend it?
No.
No.
It's just what I would think about is if it doesn't close for some reason, do we want to continue to have it listed with the same agent?
Did we have? Split?
Well,
Well, one individual can't, that's what.
But, I mean, the agent, we were fine, right?
Okay, so I think we're getting your answer.
Recommendation? Yeah.
I wouldn't react with him, I wouldn't do business with the guy, he's a clown.
I just,
I was on the fence, so you just knocked me over.
yeah, I mean, I'm reflecting what the
Tried to
conversation
school
was.
us on,
Well, I was just gonna say, if it's necessary, extend by just for a week to get past the closing. You know, do 7 days and,
that's it.
I mean, just in case there's any delays with the closing by a day or 2.
Mhm.
That would be my take on that, just. There's a lot of hungry realtors out there.
Is that a motion?
Yeah, I'm gonna motion to extend by 7
You
days.
can do that, or you can just give me direction. If I have consensus direction, I'll just do that.
So it's,
7 days?
Set it 7 days, and everybody agrees.
And if you have to relist it, we'll make a new recommendation.
Okay,
Yeah. They will extend it by just 7 days, won't they?
I think they will. It might, let's just say 7 to 30 days to be safe.
That's fine.
And that way, if I have to do a minimum of a month or something, that we can.
Okay, that's fine.
7 to 30.
Okay.
30 or less.
Preferably 7. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's, Diamond, also in the good news category. If I had bad news to share, I'd share it, but there's just been a lot of good news.
Keep on that roll.
The propane bids have come in, as just to remind everybody now that we have the 30,000 gallon propane tank on site at the new headquarters. We've been able to go out for bid, to get, competitive pricing. And that's gonna come in about $75,000 under budget at about $1.09 per gallon. And that's before the federal rebate brings it down about, what, Justin, do you know what that is off the top of your head?
The rebate,
Yeah,
it was around 80,000 last year.
yeah, it's around 50 cents a gallon, something like that.
Yeah.
I think, so,
That-
Are you letting your contract?
Yeah, I was gonna.
Wow, that is awesome.
yeah. We are, providing free rides again this year for election day. We've been doing that since 2018. And that's free rides on all of the fixed routes, so which makes sense.
All that on 7 and 4 news.
Mhm.
Just fixed routes.
Yeah. And, I do have Rich online to provide a litigation update, but before I do that, we have a little library donation. And I wanted to share all of that with you and present that. We can grab it. So Heather Harris Brady has, purchased a little library for Hall Street and donated it, to BATA to live in the lobby here. And in true Heather Brady fashion, she has dedicated this little library to Linda and Mandy Joffin. It says, many years of support of BATA and,
I love to read.
yeah, and Heather has painted, the little library herself.
Yeah.
So it's really sweet and it will be placed out in the lobby and,
That's so sweet.
yeah, she wished she could have been here, but she was out of town. Yeah,
All your records. You know, reading.
yeah,
That's right.
That is cute.
yeah. So, okay, turning to the litigation update. Rich, are you there? There you are.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
You can't?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, you can. Awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna try to share my screen. See that if that works. Okay. Can you see beta litigation update?
Yes.
Yeah.
So basically where we're at, I'll skip onto this. Just a little background. As you recall, Miller Johnson got engaged to represent BATA in this pending lawsuit, and we filed our appearance substitution of counsel back in March 1st of 2024. After that, we did our review of the file, determined that we would send out discovery requests to Grand Traverse County. Grand Traverse objected to those discovery requests, filed a motion to strike those requests, and then in the interim, we engaged in an unsuccessful mediation. In my view, Grand Traverse wasn't really wanting to play nice in the sandbox or wanting to engage in mediation at that point. Then the court denied the county's motion to strike and ordered them to answer our discovery. Grand Traverse asked for additional time to answer our discovery. And in the meantime, before discovery had closed, as of July 25th, they filed a motion for summary disposition. We were waiting on the discovery to be answered before we filed our motion to amend, which we, during the hearing, we indicated to the court and to Grand Traverse Council on the record that we were going to amend the complaint. They still decided to file a motion for summary disposition. Both a hearing on both our motions was set on September 30th of 2024, and the court granted our motion, denied Grand Traverse motion for summary disposition without prejudice. We have since filed our motion or our amended complaint, and all other dates have been extended by 90 days. So our amended complaint, a couple new claims that we filed. We asked the court for a specific performance, basically asking the court to give us the agreement we bargained for. Also, we asked the court to, in the alternative, nullify the agreement, saying that we didn't have consideration. Basically, our bargain was to amend or enter into the agreement and halt the amendment of the articles, and for exchange for them to limit the amount of commissioners on the BATA board. And we also asked for, under the alternative, reformation, so we can again get the agreement that we bargained for. So as of right now, that both counties have answered the complaint. The dispositive motion filing deadline is now November 30th. And then the settlement conference had been pushed to January 30th of next year. And now trial is set for March 3rd. So as of right now, our next steps are to wait to see if we get a motion. We may even decide to file a motion ourselves. We could talk about that a little bit later. I don't want to talk about strategy in a public meeting, but we could talk about that, or wait to see if Grand Traverse files a motion for summary disposition, and see how the court rules on that. And if there's no motion for summary disposition filed, which I think there will be, but if there's not, the trial will be set for March 3rd. So that is my update. So let me stop sharing my screen and see if there's any questions.
Anybody have?
Anybody questions?
Yeah, how much is all this?
How much does all this cost?
Well, yeah.
Well,
We can give you a number, but, right off, I mean, before we engaged with Rich, we were, what, about 9?
I don't remember off the top of my head. I'd really have to look at those notes. And are you referring to how much does this cost BATA or all?
Cost
of the
everybody.
parties?
Beta.
I'd have to follow up with you. I don't know that off the top of my head.
yeah, I
You,
can't tell you the figure off the top of my head either.
the trial date has been 2 years.
Mhm.
But just to let you know, litigation is not cheap. So it's any type of litigation is gonna cost money.
Yeah. It would just be nice somebody to explain why exactly. Just out of respect for this board and Bob and myself.
Hey, Richard, can you define for me what a settlement conference is? I'm not familiar with that.
So yeah, so it's the court settlement conference. So initially, I indicated there was a mediation that was that we went into, which the parties paid money for a mediator to mediate the case, and the BATA was all set. you gave the authority to mediate it. We were all set to negotiate to try to resolve the issue, and Grand Traverse said no, we don't want to negotiate. We wanted the status quo. Didn't really give any ground. So a settlement conference is similar, but the court actually does the negotiations between the parties. It's kind of a last ditch effort prior to trial. See if the parties can resolve the case.
The attorney that was a mediator also said that in 20 years and over 1,200 mediations, this is the first time had any party come with no intention.
Yeah, so that was just more money.
Yeah, but it should never happen. It
No.
should have,
Yeah.
you should have been down. I should have been down there, it shouldn't have been there. It was a waste of, again, time, money, resources, and, it's the emotional toll too. I mean, it's not just, yeah.
Yeah. Prior to going into that mediation, had discussions with opposing counsel, and it seemed both Leelanau and Grand Traverse, it seemed as if both all three parties were open to mediation, and then to find out that mediation, that the one side didn't want to do mediation, kind of wasted folks' time, money, and resources.
Sure did. So I'm just back on this board. So you're a resident representative, right? Joe, I don't know.
Resident.
You're a resident. So Leland, we each have one resident. I think residents are far more effective, relevant than commissioners.
I'm not serving as a commissioner role. I'm serving as a resident. I'm serving as a resident role.
Yeah,
I'm serving as a resident role, so,
but you're a commissioner.
but I'm not serving in the commissioner role. That's Scott Seifert's assignment.
That's called playing games.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not.
Certainly is.
And we lost trust
Yes.
in Grand Traverse County as a trusted partner. That move. We trusted you would go with precedent.
We went by what the
We will
agreement
remember
says.
in the
So.
future that we can trust. That you will honor precedent, but you still have an opportunity to do that.
We're following the agreement. There's one commissioner assigned to this role, so there's a commissioner role.
We're not stupid.
That's what he wants to be, but
Yep.
we're not.
Yep.
And it would be nice if somebody could just have enough character to admit what they did and explain to us why.
We followed the agreement. We followed the
Because of
agreement.
that
right there.
point that you know.
We followed the agreement. And the agreement
No,
spells
we
it out.
shouldn't
Yes,
even
it did.
got to the agreement, right? That's the problem.
And the thing is,
You
Beta agreed to that agreement with Grand Traverse and Leelanau.
You're deceitful. I used to respect you,
I would,
but you don't respect me, you don't respect this board, you don't respect Beta.
Baloney.
You and Rob are all about explaining,
No.
explaining,
I
Brad.
respect Beta. I
Explain.
respect what Beta does and everything. And I think my votes show that and everything. If I didn't respect Beta or do anything, I would not vote for the stuff I vote for here.
Well, if you respected him, you wouldn't have done what you did.
I didn't do anything with it. We
Yeah,
followed the
yeah,
agreement.
most certainly. You could have brought three boards together to
Okay,
discuss
Richard.
what an outside consultant had suggested to us.
That's your opinion.
that we
We'll let the
expect-
courts
We
decide.
would stand back tonight, just like the Board of Commissioners were told because of the change in demographics, you had to go from 7 to 9, no different. And we could have had that discussion, but we weren't even
We did
allowed
have
to
that
have it,
discussion.
Brad, because of you and Rob Henschel.
Well, because of me and Rob Henschel.
Yes, it was
That's what
you,
the board
Rob,
decided. That's what the board decided.
and the story.
But we could save a whole lot of money if you guys would just adhere to precedent
We're sticking with the agreement.
and what we trusted you to do.
Mhm.
That would save a whole lot of these upcoming charges. We appreciate the lawyers and what they do.
Any further update?
No offense.
Speaking of cost.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry,
no
Council.
offense. No, I used to serve in government. I know how difficult it can be. And as far as my costs, I do hope that we can resolve the matter prior to going forward and not incur costs going to trial or arguing more motions or writing more motions. That's not our intent. So,
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Council, could you send us your update in an email form or something to
You
Kelly?
can send it to me and I'll forward it to the board.
I just want the timeline, please, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome.
But Grand Rapids County has an opportunity to save BATA a lot of money.
Well, that's
I just
not what I'm talking.
just
I
get
just want to
feedback
make
to-
sure that I have his update, or we
Hmm.
have his update, so we know timelines and stuff. Yeah, the other stuff, yeah, I get, but right now I just want to hear from our attorney.
And I'm just challenging you guys to save BATA a lot of money.
I'm not on the county board. Or I'm truly actually, I'm a
You're an
beta.
at-large.
I'm an at-large. So, thank you, Counselor. I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Oh,
I did not mean to cut.
You don't have to raise your hand, Wayne. You can-
Oh, I'm used to, you always direct through the chair, though. That's the way I was always taught.
Well,
You're welcome.
Unless you need me any further questions, I can send you the PowerPoint and maybe even update, be more detailed in the timeline. But pleasure to see you all. Happy Halloween. I'm in my lawyer costume today, so.
All right.
Great to see you. Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.
bye. I'll be in my sons and slab on which that's just,
Yeah,
unbelievable show. Unbelievable. So,
I will be taking advantage of my kids not knowing that. For at least one more year.
Chairperson's report, I have applied for reappointment, and I get some, waiting to hear when I have an interview. So, I'm not gonna throw the towel in yet. I'm gonna keep trying, so we'll just see what happens.
Like to see you back.
I'd like to be back. I mean, this has been great. We've been very, very successful. And it's amazing what Kelly and her staff and this board have done. It's something. So on to Mr. Samajoa.
Okay.
Governance.
Well, the governance committee met back on October 7th.
Yep.
And the mission was to, we had identified that Richard occupancy is expiring on 12/31. So true to our, structure of our governance committee, we've identified traits and qualifications for this future appointment that would be submitted, that have been submitted to the Travis Board. And, Wayne was there and I was there, Scott was the absent for this one. But we did determine there's some multiple characteristics, financial acuity, marketing communications background, we lost that with Heather. And with Richard, he's got the financial, background. We don't have writer representatives, I'm sorry. Our friend Linda is no longer on the board. And then also, always can use public transportation knowledge. So those are the 4 qualifications. Several of those included, if you can find somebody that, all of them, that'd be fantastic. But we submitted those, for them to utilize in their, search process for someone to come on the board in the event that, Richard is not, appointed back to this position.
And
Go ahead, please.
also just for the future too, as we were looking at the makeup of the board,
Right.
because we were looking at that, because we could get all four in the future someday, that'd be awesome, but,
Yeah,
you know, might not come in one person, so.
yeah. And we didn't really plan it. Those aren't in order of priority.
No.
General, you know, those are the attributes that we're looking for.
Yeah.
Then we had a brief discussion on, to revisit, legal opinion on our, enforceability. We have rules that have been established within the governance committee. And, before we go down any path to enforce any of these rules, we want to make sure that we're justified and we have legal right to do that. So that was taken off the top of the, discussion to be revisited.
Yeah, just usual review.
Right.
We should be updating our bylaws and quality, these kind of things all the time, just because otherwise you get caught several years going, oh, why didn't we look at this? So I appreciated the chairs hosting that.
That was it. Thank you. That's for the attending.
Thank you, John. Justin, front center, okay.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. Happy Halloween. We got the best weather for it, so. So typically I would report out quarterly financials. Operation wise, or at least the operation fund, it is the end of the year also. So there's a lot that's going into that. They're all preliminary at this point, so I'm not gonna present our operation fund. It's not because it's bad news, it's actually good news, but there's a lot of accruals and things that have to get put into it, so that'll be coming later on. Our audit is the week of the 11th, and so a lot of that's gonna be reviewed. We're actually in contact with them already. We're gonna be sending a lot of information over to them over the next couple weeks, get all of that finalized and then report back. So what I do have for you today are some of our reserve funds that I just want to make sure everyone is aware of what we've got and kind of what it looked like for the full year. And so the first one we got is the operating reserve fund. At the beginning of this last fiscal year, we had 2,616,694. Interest rates were very high over the last year, and so we earned 149,753. And then the board approved to transfer $500,000 from our fiscal year 23 surplus. So that is all included there, giving us an ending balance at the end of this fiscal year at 3,266,446. And then there's just a note at the bottom letting everyone to be aware that we are under our 30% max based on fiscal year 24's expected budget expenses. So we have a little bit more room there as well. Also, with the feds lowering interest rates by about 50 basis points, we were earning about 5.4%. Now we're earning about 4.9. So we're still doing pretty good with those investments. Any questions with the operating reserve? Okay. On the next page, we've got the capital reserve fund. Again, at the beginning of last fiscal year, we were at 5,168,314. With high interest rates, we earned $287,000 in interest. And then the board approved to transfer $2 million from the fiscal 23 surplus. And then, of course, with the capital plan from 24, which I'll go over in a little bit, we had some expenses, $173,000, giving us an ending year balance of $7,282,652. Of course, there's a lot of planning that's going in place with us transitioning from a large rural to a small urban, so we'll talk about that in a little bit as well. But any questions for the capital?
What's it, just walk us through the adjustment at 65K over the top there. What is that?
So those are adjustments from the prior year that are not shown on here, but they were adjustments from the prior, like transfers and things of that nature, expenditures. Some of it could be from transfers that didn't occur at the end of the year, because sometimes we've got expenditures and then we go back and we transfer. So some of that could be outstanding as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would the auditors catch something like that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
think so.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we'll see that.
They would be on top of it, yeah.
I'll be interested to see if they say something on that. Thank you.
Okay, absolutely. And then let's see, the next one we've got is our new facility reserve fund. At the start of last year, we were at 5,075,771. With interest income, we added 352,000. We also got, infrastructure reimbursement from the Traverse City Housing Commission for 488,000. And I apologize, I noticed in this middle column, you'll see a larger number of 2.7 million. That number includes the sale of our CAS facility. So that's why there's a discrepancy there, and unfortunately I left that out, but that's what all of that is. And then you see our decreases for the vendors that we've been paying as we have been completing, construction on the facility. And so at the end of the year, we're ending with a balance of 6,588,547. And of course, as Kelly mentioned earlier, we're kind of wrapping up this project. And so we're getting these final bills in. And hopefully we'll have a good number to know what we've got left over. But with a surplus of $1.25 million, we're looking pretty good. So.
It has not indicated in here is that in Kelly kind of skipped over the $800,000 grant. Congratulations on that.
Yeah.
But when does that come, I think you're complete here, right? So when does that come into play?
So that is a drawdown grant. So as we progress with that project, we will then have to submit documentation that shows what we paid, and then they will reimburse it.
So initially it comes out of this reserve.
Correct. So we'll take it from there, yep, and then replenish it.
Have we started any negotiations or contacts with anybody to do the solar? And if we have, are they local or?
Sean is working on drafting that RFP. And there is a requirement within the grant that gives preference to Michigan vendors, because they're Michigan Public Service Commission.
Like 5%.
What do you mean?
I mean, what's
What's the preference?
well, the variance, like,
It was always the standard was 5%.
yeah, 5%. I was just, that's.
Unless they changed it.
No, I don't. I don't know what the percentage of that preference is for.
Yeah, price difference of up to 35%.
Okay. So, and right now, the timeline, we have mapped out is to have those installed by middle of June. So the RFP will be wrapping up and getting pushed out, and hopefully installation will take place in this one.
Kind of along the same lines, solars. Do we ever get the chargers that we need for the electric buses?
The RFP for that is out. I believe that's with MDOT right now, right, Justin?
Yep,
Yeah.
for review.
So, that takes a few weeks to get something.
But they do have them available now, so that we can actually get them. Because wasn't that the problem before, is that they
It's-
really.
It's a complicated.
Well, they're just so-
Just went through a touchier issue, you wanna keep on.
Yeah, it's just the bureaucracy of how to get to the RFP being issued to select the vendor to supply the chargers. We have them funded, and so now we've been able to draft the RFP, and it will go to pre-qualified vendors, and then we will be able to select the chargers, so.
Okay, I was just curious.
Yeah, if they have anything.
They were told it's easier than actually getting the buses, so hopefully it won't take nearly as long, but.
Right, like, we maybe don't have to build the bus, but build the charger.
But those buses only have 125 range, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
So they're gonna be used in town, the link, their vans. So that would be link on demand, most likely to be used in the city link on demand area.
yeah, because that's not much of a charge.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's why propane looks so good.
yeah. And we have fast chargers, spec'd out for this facility also, so that they can come in here and recharge throughout the day.
Will the public be able to at all?
Not with those chargers, I don't believe. I mean, I suppose you might be able to make a decision to open that for the public in the future, but.
On the other hand, if you have a bus coming, they need to be able to get on the payroll.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe like overnight or something, maybe that would be possible, we could look at that. But there are charges across the street. That
Yeah.
are from T2
Yeah.
Power.
Level 2 or 3?
I think those are level 2, I'm not sure if they have level 3 over that, just 2.
Make a motion to approve the fiscal year 24 Q4 finance reports as presented.
Second. Fourth, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Dustin.
Commissioner Glenn.
I think it was going, yeah. Old business.
No.
New business. The contract.
Yeah, so we have a resolution in the packet that is requirement by MDOT to, they're including shelters on their, the section of M22 from Division North, the Cherry Bend that they're gonna be working on next spring. And so they have several pull-offs included and transit stop amenities that they've been able to fund in that project. And so this is the contract to turn those shelters over to us.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Capital plans closed.
Yep, so I have the capital project budget for fiscal year 24 here for you. I'll go over these just very, not in too much detail, but just kind of let you know what we've spent funds in this year. The 24A, we had 2 transmissions that we replaced, so we spent 14,164, 60,000 under budget in that line. For 24B, we had 2 6x10 shelters, a 4x8 shelter, a 5x9 shelter, and that included some solar light packages, some benches, some display cases, all of that. So we came in at 61,400 or 13,600 under budget. Nothing spent general IT. For carryover for 23, we had a little bit of money left over for technology. That was to replace some REI cameras, DVRs and GPS equipment. That was 12,719 or 1,200 left over from that. And then when it comes to more vehicle technology for this year and what was approved out of the 26,460, we spent 15,466 or 10,994 under budget. And that was to GMV for some hardware for 2 additional outfittings for vehicles that were not covered under our grant funding. Down below, we do have the Hall Street snow melt repairs listed here. We did not spend anything in that line. One, I know that Kurt had asked how much a portion of it would be to get fixed, and that at that time was about 50,000. But of course, once we went through our project and went through the snow melt and realized how expensive it was, and then kind of reassessing what that looks like, and also not really having the winter last year to really assess what was working and what wasn't. We're leaving it on there, but as of right now, nothing has been spent on that. So we're keeping it on there, and then you'll see it for this upcoming year as well. It's kind of just we want to keep it in the forefront of our mind and make sure that we take a look at it and then reassess and get quotes for what that's going to cost and what that's going to look like for this location here. So the last item here, 24F, is a garage sweeper. That we budgeted 95,000 for, we came under budget at 69,658. And so as we get down to the bottom here, we had some contingency, which we didn't spend. Total budget was 376,642. We spent 173,407. And so we were under budget 203,236 for fiscal year 24.
Either you over budgeted to make it look good, or you did a really good job.
I did a really good job.
So can I ask a question?
Sure.
I see that we spent nothing on general IT. How hardened is our system? Are we do 2-stage authentic? How do we,
Well,
after what happened to the county, I'm just curious. Have we hardened up?
Yes. All of our admin staff is 2-factor authentication enforced and enabled. Our driver accounts do not, but they're very limited as to what they're able to access.
Okay. Just curious, after what happened there.
Yeah.
Make sure that-
We have done some pretty extensive network infrastructure upgrades as well at the new building with newer network gear that will be supported much longer than what we currently have, so
Good, thank you.
we're looking pretty good.
I've also asked the county administrator to host lessons learned session with other public agencies in the area so that we can all learn from not just the county, but maybe a joint session with the TCAPs
Mhm.
and the county
Good.
and to, you know, hear from people that we know about real experiences that are happening. And
Unfortunately, it's extremely important now.
yeah, yeah, it's not a question of what, it's when, and we just want to make sure that we're prepared with the action steps to take in the immediate aftermath. And I know Paul was at a session yesterday, I think that was up on cybersecurity.
But we also do, automated internal testing, so we do, we'll send out phishing tests. And then it's not exclusive to admin, those go to drivers as well, we get a report back on that.
Okay.
I met with Paul, our IT manager this morning. He said the conference was very beneficial yesterday. It's time was spent. Good.
Good.
I think since June, I read there has been 12 or 1,400 units of government in the US hit by cyber attacks since then.
Mhm.
So they're not stopping.
No.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Just going back to the, on the snow melt, with the, inclusion of the new transfer station by the office,
Mhm.
how much traffic reduction do you have here?
Not a lot,
Okay, it hasn't been bad, okay.
no.
I was thinking about that, you know, if if this is down by 50%, why are we gonna spend that kind of money
Yeah.
on a facility that's not getting that kind of mileage?
No,
So it hasn't
this is
changed that
very
much.
much the most active hub in the system, yeah.
Thank you.
But didn't Kurt say before too, he thought it was broken lines or in the concrete was the biggest thing? Wasn't so much the equipment, it was more the broken lines.
Right,
Yeah.
well, we
That's the
upgraded
case.
the boiler.
Well, yeah, there was a boiler issue, but I thought you said they
It
were
is.
It's down,
die
it's
or
down on the
something.
ground, but you couldn't
It's
find
up.
it.
Yeah.
Fine.
We were hoping
Yeah,
to test it last year, then the winter didn't
It's like
show
every
up.
year that shows up on
I know,
here. We just don't do anything with it.
Well, if you have a
Yeah.
leak underground, your pressures are gonna go down anyway at your boiler and stuff, so you'll know you have a leak somewhere, it's just a matter of usually running a dye or finding with a heat gun where it's spreading out, an infrared gun, where that leak's spreading out in the concrete and stuff like that, but usually something like that, I mean, if it's one leak, yeah, you can cut a spot out and patch it, you know, put a shark bite on there and patch it and everything like that, but I mean, if it's multiple leaks, you're better off to just rip it all out and start over, insulate it right and start
Yeah.
over, I mean, so.
it's gonna be a major disruption operationally to fix that here, because it's gonna, I mean, we're gonna have to close the station for months while.
Well, no, it depends how it's zoned, I
It's
mean,
not zoned, unfortunately, we can't do it in zones, apparently, that's what they're telling me.
it's always in zones because you can only run no more than 300 feet maximum on a run. You know, so, but if it's not zoned, that's probably part of the problem right there, because I'm sure there's probably, well, I don't know what all is heated here,
Yeah.
but there's probably 3,000-4,000 feet of line on the concrete, and if it's not zoned, that's the problem in itself.
Mhm.
You know, because you're not supposed to exceed 300 feet on a run,
Yeah,
inside or outside.
well, the number will be much bigger than 50,000.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying.
We'll have Kurt and, Sharon.
That's what I'm saying, if it's not zoned, I mean, if it's, you can
Yeah.
shut down half of it, but in that zone, shut down the other half, you know, when this half's done or however it's laid out.
Yeah,
And so it is what I'm saying, it will be, have a negative impact, but we may not have to close this down depending on how they redo it.
yeah. Yeah, potentially. I think we're prepared for it to be pretty good. Because of the.
What else heated here anyway?
The tarmac and all of the sidewalks.
That's what I thought. So it's definitely gotta have zones,
Okay,
because that'd be way too much.
it's,
I mean, I need 3,600 square feet of sidewalks and I got 11 zones on 3,600 feet of sidewalks too, but
Yeah,
that's just because you can't exceed 300 feet. I mean, you can, if it's like 305 feet or 10 feet to finish off that run, you can do that and stuff, but, they want, an outdoor, they want you to stay between 250 and 300 max. So if it's not zoned, it could easily be done in zones and maybe not have such a big impact on the facility itself.
Yeah. I don't know, but we'll cross that bridge when we have more information.
Right.
It really needs to be a full plan put together with an estimate and implementation plan.
Yeah.
So,
Let me go back just a second. When you addressed the communities and the counties and the whatever getting hacked, we listened to Nate Alger in a meeting, and he stressed having back-end insurance.
Yeah.
Which he said is
I think most
very expensive.
entities have it. But I mean, we had a $25,000 deductible, which I was met in the first couple hours of the event, so to say, but the insurance company picked up a lot, so. I think most of your bigger entities and public entities have that insurance now. But if they don't, it's definitely something to look at, so. 'Cause it's just playing the lottery, it's maritime.
Yeah.
I mean, they're hitting schools, they're hitting medical facilities, they're hitting local units of governments and even bigger governments. You know, the feds just had a hack attempt this week by the Chinese and everything, a huge one and stuff, so it's not going anywhere.
Yeah. One of the suggestions in last year's audit was to increase the amount of our coverage for cybersecurity coverage. Justin, you're the lead on that, right?
Yeah, we're doing the renewal right now, and so we're gonna submit that, but I know we had gotten a quote from them to suggest it was a pretty substantial increase, so, yeah.
To 5 million.
So you have the back-end insurance.
Yeah, 1 to 2 million, yeah.
Okay.
I guess the good thing that came out with it looked at, you know, at least from the county side, it looked how you run your networks and the different, and one of the biggest things that came out with it was cloud-based stuff is a lot harder for them to hack than something that's connected, you know, so. But there's, you know, different options for different entities and how they're gonna play out and everything like that, but, so, you know. There was things that was learned that, you know, maybe people don't know of prior to something like that happening and having to be in it, so, which is unfortunate, but. There's just not a whole lot of educational tools out there right now to teach people what to do. I mean, they're getting better about it and stuff like that, but. You know, until you go through it, it's not, really, it's not in the forefront of people's minds. You know, so.
Okay, so do I have a motion to accept the fiscal year 24 capital plan?
So moved. Support.
Support, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to the capital projects for 2025.
Yeah, so on the next page, we've got fiscal year 25 requests. We'll start here at the top, major vehicle repairs, again, 75,000, that'll cover transmission or motors. Annual shelter, bench signage and stop, sign placement, 75,000 for that category. General IT, 10,000, vehicle technologies, we've got a little carryover from last year with the original allocation, so 8223. Vehicle ancillary fit items, this funding has changed a little bit. We used to get that funding from the state, that has now changed. And so now looking at what we're gonna need to do to outfit the new vehicles that we get, we're looking at around 65,000 for this year. So we planned ahead for that. And then for vehicle purchases, right now, we have vehicles that are purchased that we're waiting for, that are already paid for. But in addition to that, we're also looking at 3 school buses for the upcoming year to replace 2 that we have and then have 1 as a backup. So that totals out to be about 323,000 for this year. And as I mentioned down below on the second half of this, the Hall Street snow melt repairs are kind of there just so that we are paying attention to it. We're gonna look at it this year and figure out what that number looks like as we go through planning for this year and the following couple of years. In addition to that, we've got a request for a John Deere Gator for 18,000. a grounds mower for 7,500. The mower itself, as we've gotten quotes to have the new property, the new facility mowed, is about $575 a week, or about 15,000 a year, so it makes sense to take a look at investment in a mower for the property. And then a snow maintenance tractor for 45,000, would be used both in the winter and for summer cleanup over the property as well. And then Kurt mentioned that they need a welder, the welder that is currently in the shop. Number one, it doesn't really fit wiring that we've got in the new facility, and it was purchased in 1997. So they'd like to look at getting a new one for the facility as well. So those projects come out to 78,500. We've got a contingency of 40,000 and a total budget of 441,895 for this year. And of course, as we look into this, we've been on several meetings with MDOT and the FTA, talking to them about what pots of money that we've got now that we are a small urban, and just making sure with them that we have every pot of money that we know about. If they know more, can they suggest that? And then also, with this upcoming year too, we are doing a lot of NTD reporting. And so all of our numbers that we're collecting, we're hoping to report all of these numbers because they haven't been reported in the past for us. Hopefully that will qualify us for more funding. But as we look at capital planning for the next few years, we're going to be making sure that we've got every pot that we can take from, especially when it comes to replacing the fleet, and planning to not have any large expenses to do that all at once, so that we can spread the purchases out. So.
And so one of the projects this year is to create a 5-year capital plan inclusive of the fleet outlook. Just for those that may not know, so as a rural agency, MDOT funded our vehicles. As a small urban agency, we will be buying our own vehicles. So that's many years of depositing funds into a capital plan to be ready for this day. Right, and so now we really need to forecast that out on what that annual cost is going to be if we're gonna adopt let's say a replacement rate of 8% a year. But get that scheduled out and allocate the capital funds as needed for that plan. So we're working on the 5-year capital plan, and that will come back to the board for approval once it's done. But this is just the annual handful of projects that we know are coming. The vehicle ancillary upfit items line, that covers 10 vehicles that are already funded, and we will be taking delivery of it in 25, fiscal 25. So that's a known number. And then the vehicle purchases, like Justin said, the 3 used school buses, to have adequate replacement vehicles for the school bus size buses that we operate in the fleet today. Those run about 30,000 a piece once they're rebranded and not school buses.
So what is the offset to having to buy your own vehicles now? There must be funding somewhere. I thought you were glad that you got that. I thought that was a good thing, but
it is a good
that
thing.
Part's not good.
Yeah, that part's not good. That part's not good. The good part about it though is that you have more control over when you get vehicles. That part's good. You're not just subject to MDOT.
If you're buying them, you better have.
Yeah.
I say if we're buying them, we better
Yeah,
have.
right.
Yeah. And do we have a choice as to what type of vehicle?
Yeah, you have more choice as to what type of vehicle and whether you wanna, pair up with other agencies to buy them. They don't have to be the predetermined state contract vehicles. So there's that.
They don't necessarily have to be electric, they could be propane, they could be.
Yeah, they can be.
Diesel hybrid,
Right.
it could be.
Right. anything.
Diesel, anything.
Diesel.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get to pick.
Yeah. So there are pros, but there's a big con, financial.
Okay.
So on the grounds with the mower, I mean, we can buy a mower and save a few bucks there, but I mean, we're still, we have to have staff to be out there doing that. And so really, if you look at $500 a week to have somebody mow, I think that's what you said. I mean, they're there, you don't have to worry about maintenance on a mower, you don't have to worry about mower blades, you don't have to worry about somebody that's actually gonna do it. So I mean, I mean, it looks like it could be a savings, but at the end of the day, it may not be any savings at all by the time we pay somebody a day or two to be out there mowing everything, weed whacking everything, blowing everything. So. I mean, I think at the end of the year, you'd find that it's probably really cost neutral to not even have the mower ourselves. Who
We have
right
a-
now has the capacity, the time to,
Well, so I don't believe that this is to fully replace having, an outside service do some of the mowing. I think this is supplemental to that, to be able to do supplemental, work on the grounds. Whether that's the shoulder of the road or it's just general cleanup, like the leaf cleanup and things like that. We have a building and grounds crew, but
right, but do they have the time to actually be taking care of the properties with us?
I mean, well, you said building and grounds crew, so I already have individuals on staff that
to
basically
do all
do
the
the out,
properties.
so they would just pick up doing the mowing then.
They would do some of
Most
the
likely.
mowing. I don't believe it would be all of the mowing. It's gonna be a lot of
Look, you
mowing.
know, there won't be anything to mow, it's dry as it's been.
That's irrigated though, isn't it?
It is
Yeah,
here.
it's irrigated, yeah. Doesn't mean we have to turn it on.
But if you wanna see more of a cost analysis around the mower, that's fine. We can come back.
Well, I was just thinking, I mean, cause I know people that do a lot of mowing and I know people that just pay to have their mowing done and everything and they've figured out, I mean, it's on a smaller scale. That they can't afford to have their own mower and maintenance of it and their time and everything, so.
Yeah.
And I just know historically, everybody in the region has had a hard time hiring. And, if for some reason building grounds gets busier, or they're one man short.
Yeah.
Or a woman, one man or a woman short, then maybe they won't be able to pick these pieces off, and that's what I'm saying, we might be, at the end of the year, if we looked at it, it might be a wash to just have somebody do that extra mowing or that extra cleanup or something, instead of us taking our time and resources and doing that, so.
Or anything else we need? Now, we're in a new facility.
It should be on this list.
Okay.
I mean, this was populated by the facilities manager, so.
And I'm assuming the gator would be used basically up on that campus.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Any other? Do I have
So moved.
I have a motion to, that's support. Support, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, we have a fiscal year 25. Any board discussion items, and
I have a couple, yeah.
okay,
One is, I wanted to rest on my laurels now that the headquarters project is done. I'd like to start talking about this facility outside of the snow melt issue. When you really look around this facility, it really is in need of some attention and a little bit of a facelift. It is about 20 years old and, it definitely needs a little bit of drywall repair and paint throughout the facility. Restrooms need upgrades. But the biggest area for improvement is in the break room area, which has a restroom. We can do a little walkthrough if you guys want to when we're done with the meeting, but it's got, a restroom, a little kitchenette, break room area, and then a closet area with a hallway with, lockers, staff lockers in it right now. And the design of that is a terrible design. I don't know how it ever got that way, but the restroom opens right into the break room. So it's a one restroom, and all the drivers come in here at the same time. And everyone needs to use the restroom, and they're here for about 5 minutes before they have to leave on their route again. And so I don't know if we have the space to create two restrooms there. But we can certainly do better than having it open to the break area where everyone is trying to grab it like lunch or coffee. So, with the savings from the headquarters project of 1.25 million or wherever that ends up, just rough numbers, and the $400,000 from Diamond, I'd like us to start thinking about taking those funds and putting them into this facility and getting it up to snuff.
Is there a need for this boardroom, training room here now that that's gonna be going
This,
there?
this could be a little bit improved, I think, on that end of this room, but the other facility is really not designed for a public space
Yeah.
for board meetings. I mean, we use the training room almost constantly. And our conference room, it wouldn't accommodate the board meeting, it wouldn't accommodate public,
That's pretty small.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's always been the intention that board meetings would continue to be down here.
Would you do a boardroom, would you do a board meeting in the lobby? It's the public?
Well, I mean, you could, but that's also the driver's break area,
Oh, yeah, that's
so
right.
you'd be kicking.
Never mind.
Out of.
Well, yeah, no, yeah,
Right, you know,
no, that
Be
was not my
invited
intent.
to the meeting.
yeah,
That
they're
was-
always invited to the meeting.
So I assume the next step would be, we would actually hire somebody to study our needs and
Yeah.
come up with so you're gonna bring us a proposal on
Yeah,
that?
I
Okay,
just wanted to open the conversation so that.
I'd be open to the conversation if you want to bring a
Yeah.
proposal.
Definitely.
Great. We'll bring something back.
We had that same situation in Shoreline Mills, on Shoreline, the bathroom was right here, the break room was right there, it was foul.
Yeah. It's,
It's just not a good situation.
No. and we have a ton of wasted space over in that, and it's a very crowded area, so to be wasted space in a crowded area. is just like-
here.
Well, there's that space too, yeah. I know, yeah. Right, exactly. There's that, we can do better.
Yeah.
We can do better. Right.
Yeah.
Just-
Cool.
So,
Especially because we have so much savings from the other facility.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think, like you said, maybe the next step would be to consult with somebody to see what they think on changing it up and how to change it up.
Yeah.
And if we do have that corner's wasted space or whatever it is,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was staring at.
Probably.
It's like,
remodel and make more room for back there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, and then the other thing we wanted to bring up the ESTA.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask Chris, what was going on with, everyone looks at, of course, the, tip minimum wage, tip credit, all the other stuff, the PTO and all of that. How are we preparing for that?
Yeah, I'm the legislative rep for Terra, so I've been in a lot of contact, and matter of fact, our Terra group, we're having a attorney come and speak with our group in a special session for 90 minutes, as well as adding them to our next agenda, next meeting, I think in November, actually. So, as far as the wage changes, we're in alignment there. The earned sick time, we're in alignment generally with that. There's one area I need to look a little deeper at, and I know there was talk about, possibly having some changes to it also, but it looks like it is gonna be effective February 1 now, so,
February 12th.
or February 12th,
February.
okay. Yeah.
well, I thought it was 21st.
I think it's
Beginning in
I don't know.
February.
Mid-February.
Anyway,
I continue.
Well, it's also gonna expand the definition of a family. Basically,
Family, paid time off, all of that, I mean.
right.
it's
the point that
gonna really dig deep.
So we have not separated out our sick vacation. We have it grouped as PTO. So I think that has helped us be more in compliance than those that have separated out maybe sick leave of 3 days or so many hours, and so I think by keeping it grouped
But
as
with the
PTO itself.
increments and how you can use it all in and all that stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of operational changes that we are prepared. Matter of fact, we're redoing our handbook right now, so. We haven't spent a lot of time changing the language in the handbook, but there are some really hand tying that organizations are gonna be doing.
Could you, Mr. Chair, Director, kind of put a cost estimate of how much this is costing us time-wise and for a Dustin and the staff?
Yeah.
Because I know we're
You
capable,
guys could,
still concerned about the smaller businesses, and I'm continuing to lose faith in the legislature in doing anything.
yeah, well, it's just gonna be worse.
It's,
It's,
It is a big burden on,
I'll just call it stupid. It's a Massachusetts group and. you know,
and it feels to me, to us at the Terra level that, I don't want to say experts in the field, but
No.
HR people who are very close to it could have been very helpful in, making changes. We have written to our legislators and shared, our membership have written in to make changes to it, but in the end, it's going through. Now, we don't have the tip part of it, but the tip part of it is awful.
Which is
for
a
our-
whole different, it was.
For our local businesses and our hourly, or our tip eligible people, they're not even in favor of it in
Right.
general,
Mhm.
so.
I know, I saw that the governor of Massachusetts came up against it. That's where this was based.
okay.
Yes, it was.
Everybody tried to, because,
Okay, yes.
not to get political, but just if we could, what the cost estimates for, because, you know,
Yeah, no, I think that's great.
yeah, it's killing businesses right now.
Well,
State, state has to comply too, and they were whining about it. Some of the civil service people are like, yeah, deal with it.
It's the logistics of from day-to-day operations. I mean, if somebody decides they want to take the day off, they don't have to
Yeah.
call and tell you,
Right.
Yeah,
you
I
know,
know.
and stuff, so.
And matter of fact, it prohibits us on many
Right.
different levels from doing
Even
things
that,
that right now have worked well. And we're very supportive of our staff taking time off and things like that.
yes.
The fact that you can't ask and.
Yeah,
Well, that's what's tough for a business and scheduling, you know, if you have people and all of a sudden.
Oh, well, it's also
One or two or
part-time.
three, I mean,
All affects part-time too on the
Yeah.
accrual. That's of the benefits, yeah.
Yes.
It is.
and you take the businesses that are open 365, 24 hours a day, like, I know a few years ago, we had every employee that wanted Christmas Day off. Well, we couldn't do it, so we would go by seniority like we always did, but. I mean, what if everybody takes it off and doesn't say anything, you
Yeah.
know, there are a lot of businesses like that,
Yeah. Right.
it's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
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 I know, my fault. I adopted and amended it. My fault. I'll take the blame.
oh, no.
Yeah, well, if you read the Supreme Court ruling, all they said is, you're just gonna do the session.
Right.
Yeah, well, the Constitution didn't say that we couldn't either.
Interesting.
Any other items? If not, I'm going to second public comment. Brenda?
Good job. I just wanted to, I want to thank Gwen Algetter for being, that's your right name, right? Yeah. For being the only female member of this board. I'm looking around and I'm going, oh my gosh, she's outnumbered. And then I wanted to also thank Richard for everything you've done. I certainly hope you're remaining on this board because it's so important that we have people who are watching what's going on with the riders and I in tune with the public. And I don't think that some of the appointees on this board are really in tune with who needs the service, who's using it, and how we need to look to the future. And I think you do a very good job. John is the money brain, I know that. And I'm glad you're here because for many, many years, BATA had such a problem with financing and always on the verge of going under. And then congratulations to the two other women on the board, Chris and Kelly, because who would think that I'm a liver? Who would think women could run an organization like this and do such a superior job? I'm really impressed. And I talk almost constantly with people who use the bus service and who are really always so complimentary about how it's run, and I don't fail to tell them who's running it and what a great job you're doing. So keep it up. We need you.
Thank you. Justin.
Yes, I wanna say thank you. You're doing a good job. You know, the kind of seems like they want to, play their games. They play the game with me. They're successful with that and they figure they would, you know, they deal with that community mental health. They can do it now with Beta. And I thank you for standing up and saying something for this. Because, you know, you have to have writers on part of your board. And you have to have that ridership, representation. Because if you don't, you're gonna end up like, only 2-month health board of directors to where there's nobody on there that is a current consumer that has services from CMH. They elected somebody who has had services, but the county can do that because there is a little, thing in the primary consumer to where, it says that if they had services, they can be on, they're still considered a primary consumer. So the county can skirt around that and, they can do whatever they want to. But, you know, they like to go ahead and do that. Well, you know, yeah, you know, if they keep you on here for, on this again, is maybe they can prove me wrong, is that, you know, they believe that anybody who has vested trust in the writers or who else is a writer, should be on this board and, not all county commissioners. Because that seemed like that's kind of unfair and, you know, having 2 county commissioners on this board, that's two from the same county. It's not fair at all. Where, you know, it's just, you know, you don't walk through that door, and you do not become a county commissioner, you're still a county commissioner. Even though you might say you're at large, no, you're still a county commissioner, your job, title doesn't change when you go through that door. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other? Open floor, any comments, questions? If not, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved.
Yeah.
Next meeting.